Okay, hi all. So now we are going to continue with the following subtopic, which is 12.2, the nervous system. I have told you in this chapter we are going to look at the nervous system and also the endocrine system. So now you can actually divide the nervous system into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Very easy to remember. I will use the short form CNS and also PNS when I explain later. Okay, so central nervous system. Central means central lah, you tahu kan, yang tengah middle tu. And then peripheral is all the other parts beside the central system. Itu je. Now let's see, this is the example. So, what does central nervous system consist of? Actually, it consists of brain and spinal cord. Okay? Brain and spinal cord is the central nervous system. The others, you can see there is so many. It's actually like wire, correct? Like the wire connecting the brain and spinal cord to other parts. It's like the wire, this wire, wire. Okay, you can see a lot of yellow wire, right? Connect here and there. It's actually what? It's actually the nerve. Okay, it's actually the nerve. Okay, that falls under peripheral nervous system. So here, peripheral nervous system is all the other part of nervous system beside than the central nervous system. Okay. Okay, this is also another example. I want to enhance your memory on this. Once again, central nervous system, only brain and spinal cord. All the other parts, you can see the wire, the nerve. This is the one that I mentioned, the nerve. You can see all this wire, the name is nerve, is the peripheral nervous system. Nanti exam jangan pula bagi saya jawapan wire. Give me the words nerve. Okay, this is something that it might look like complicated, but you need to understand, okay? You need to know which part is which, what function is that. So, I want you to highlight this. First, I want you to know cerebrum, which is this big part, cerebrum. Then you need to know hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is this part. Okay, you can see the label, right? And pituitary glands, I also want you to see. And also the cerebellum. And last sekali is the medulla. But medulla actually full name is medulla oblongata. Okay, not that. The others you don't need to read first. It might seem to be a lot, but the others you don't need to read first. Okay? You focus on these 5 things first. We're going to look one by one. So first, you have cerebrum. So still remember, cerebrum is this particular big space. Okay? Understand? Cerebrum is this big space. It's the largest. You can see how big it is, and the most complex structure in the frontal part of brain. So this is brain, right? So this is your eyes here. You punya mata dekat sini. So this is the frontal part, bahagian depan. Okay, and you can see there is a lot of folded surface. Correct? Can you see? There is a lot of folded surface. If not, it will be like this. But if it is folded, then you will see something like this. Correct? Folded like this. So surface is folded to increase the surface area. And what is the function of cerebrum? This is important. The function of cerebrum is the center that controls the emotion, hearing, sight, personality, and control actions. Means that you want to do something, okay? You are conscious to do something, it will all be under cerebrum. Even the ability for you to learn, to memorize, to say something, you speak something, and to count mathematics, also under cerebrum. So now you know how important it is. You want to do everything. Even now you are studying, you are learning, you are listening to my not lectures but teaching. It also falls under the function of cerebrum. So that's why you see some people when they have kemalangan jalan raya, where their head being knocked by the car, let's say it knows this front part, then the person will have disability in doing all these things. They cannot speak, maybe they cannot control emotion, they cannot hear something, they lose their memories. Understand? It will all be this cerebrum. So that's why you see there's a lot of function, a lot of elaboration. Now cerebrum, the function, first, receive information and stimulus from receptor. Information is analyzed and integrated to produce sensory perception. Okay, I believe you have no problem for this. Information is analyzed is just like just now I said, interpreted the information of the nerve impulse, and then it will generate the nerve impulse, which will help to determine the response. So the response is determined and instructions are given to effectors. So the instruction here refers to the nerve impulse. In terms of nerve impulse, in the form of nerve impulse. Okay? Now, just now we studied about this part, which is the cerebrum. So now we have studied, we don't want to look at this anymore. We look at the cerebellum. Can you see cerebellum? It's just like this yellow part is just like a separate part of your brain that located at the behind. Still remember I said your eyes is here, correct? Your eyes is here. This one is at the frontal part. So the cerebellum will be at the belakang lah, belakang sikit. It's at the behind part. So it maintains the balance and coordination of muscle contraction for body movement. So now the question might ask you some disease, you know some people, especially old people, when they fall down for the tangga, they got hit here, they got hit at the behind here. So the cerebellum, they tends to get hurt, What will happen is that they cannot control their body balance lah. They walk sekejap je nak fall down, they walk sekejap je nak jatuh. They cannot coordinate their body movement. Maybe your body said, I want to angkat your kaki kiri, but then your body cannot because cerebellum got problems, got hurt. Even your brain said, oh okay, now I want to angkat kaki kiri, but your kaki kiri cannot be angkat. Maybe totally cannot be angkat or like partially boleh angkat je. So this is the problem lah when it comes to cerebellum, when you got damage to cerebellum. Okay, another word, hypothalamus. You need to remember the name. Okay, there is no shortcut for you. You can also hypothalamus. Panjangnya nama dia. Is there any shortcut? No. Okay, what is the function? It coordinates homeostasis. Now, do you need to know this word first? No. I don't want to confuse you. Hypothalamus coordinate homeostasis. This one is in chapter 13. As I mentioned, chapter 13. Chapter 13. So it's more to like your internal environment lah, mostly lah. Okay, the example that you study. So don't confuse yourself. You don't need to really pay much attention to homeostasis in this chapter. Okay, but later when you go to chapter 13, you need to know that. It's a control center to regulate the internal stimuli. For example, what do we have? We have the body temperature, we have blood pressure, as mentioned just now. Okay? Then it connects the endocrine system through pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is the one that we want to mention. Oh, sorry, I forgot to label where is hypothalamus. This hypothalamus is here, right to the top of pituitary gland. Now, this pituitary gland, if you want to draw, it will be something like this, Yeah, this is the pituitary gland. You have the front part, you have the behind part. So this one also, pituitary gland, it will be in chapter 13. So do you need to pay much attention to pituitary gland? You need to know the function. You does not need to know in details, but you need to know the function. So it actually has this anterior part, which is the front part lah. The front part. Yang depan dengan belakang. And the posterior. Kalau posterior, belakang lah. Boleh? So at this picture, you only see one of them hanging, but actually there are two. So what are the function of this pituitary gland? It located at the base of hypothalamus. Just like I told you, right? Hypothalamus is right on top of the pituitary gland. So it can be described in vice versa. The pituitary gland is at the base of hypothalamus. It's the main gland at endocrine system. So that is why sometimes you will see the words, sometimes in objective question, they will call this pituitary gland as master gland. Okay, now gland is the organ that secretes hormone. Boleh? Gland secretes hormone. Understand? So main gland in the endocrine system, they usually call them as master gland. So this is the important one that you need to understand. Remember the gland secrete. What is the function of this? It's too deep. What is the function? It secretes the still very deep. I'm sorry. It secretes the hormones that control the secretion of other hormones. Okay, this sentence might sound confusing. How is it so? Okay, let me tell you. So, this pituitary gland, let's say, is going to secrete a thing say A. So this A is going to later transport to your other body part, maybe B. This is another gland B. Okay, so hormone A. So let's say I want this hormone, gland B will secrete hormone B. So how this pituitary gland work is like, okay, now our brain detects that our body is lack of hormone B. We need hormone B. Then how am I going to tell this gland B to produce more hormone B. So the way that pituitary works is like, okay, now your brain already tells you, I need to have more hormone B. I want more hormone B. So your body, let me use other color. Your body is going to ask the pituitary gland to secrete a hormone A. And this hormone A is going to tell the gland B or stimulate the gland B to secrete more hormone B so that it achieves what your brains want. Understand? Your brain said, I want more hormone B. So, how is going to be carried out? By pituitary gland. Your pituitary gland is going to is going to secrete the hormone A, more hormone A. And this hormone A is going to stimulate the gland B to secrete more hormone B. Then achieve lah apa yang otak kamu mau. Faham? Okay. Continue. Last one. Medulla oblongata. Okay, the words sounds very bombastic. Okay, the name is very bombastic, and you need to remember. Okay, so as mentioned here, it's located at the anterior of the cerebellum. Still remember I told you, you have front part is anterior, the pituitary gland. The behind part is posterior. Same goes to here. Can you see? Cerebellum is here. So what is the thing that in front of the cerebellum is called as the anterior? Understand? So that's why it says located at the anterior of the cerebellum. You can see it's just this part. Boleh? So it controls involuntary action, which you are studying in 12.4. Okay, you are studying in 12.4. What is involuntary actions? Now, example, heartbeat, breathing, food digestion. So can you understand what is involuntary action from this example? Which is the actions that do not need your conscious effort. Maksudnya, you tak perasan pun you sedang buat benda itu. For example, your heartbeat, jantung kamu. Okay, did you ask your jantung to, did you ask your heart to pump the blood? No, right? It pumps it naturally. Did you ask your mouth or your esophagus to swallow the food? No, it happens originally, right? Like naturally. You don't have the conscious effort. You tak perasan pun. Masa you makan kan, you just rasa macam, oh, happy. Did you really, in your mind, are you asking maybe your esophagus, your small intestine to go and digest the food? No, right? You tak tahu pun, you tak perasa pun. So that is involuntary action. That you tak perasan, you tak suruh dia buat macam tu pun. Then it will happen naturally. Okay? Such as breathing also, correct? When you're talking with people, you are breathing as well. But you know that you are talking with people, but you are not conscious that you are breathing at the same time, correct? You do not really think like, okay, I need to breathe now. I need to breathe like, 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. No, you don't do that, correct? But when you talk, it's voluntary action. It's the opposite, because when you talk, your brain will tell you, oh, what I want to talk, what I want to say. I need to think, what are the words that I'm going to use, correct? So that is voluntary. Now notice the difference? This is the summary of the functions of human brain. I put 3 stars here because I want you all to remember clearly. Okay, you need to at least tell me lah what is the functions of the the human brain. Okay, cerebrum mostly to the voluntary actions, but you need to explain in details. In exam you don't just give me voluntary actions. I want the description in this part, the long one. I want this this one, and also this one, the function lah. Okay, you don't just give me voluntary action because I want you to remember easier, so that's why I write like this. Medulla oblongata memang is for involuntary action. Answer in full sentence in exam you don't just write involuntary action you must have the full complete sentence. Hypothalamus control homeostasis in chapter 13. Pituitary gland control secretion of other hormones. Okay, like the example I mentioned to you this one. Faham? It is how it's going to work. And then cerebellum, the one at the behind, your otak is here, cerebellum is here, at the belakang punya. I told you if it goes hurt, you cannot maintain your body balance. So the function is to maintain the body balance. Boleh? Now, this is nervous system. First we study about human brain, correct? But just now I told you already, for the central nervous system, it's divided into brain and also spinal cord, correct? So we are going to see what is actually spinal cord. Actually, spinal cord is just the tulang belakang, but it's not exactly the tulang belakang. Tulang belakang is tulang, is the spine. Okay, this tulang belakang consists of a lot of nerve. Okay, so spinal cord we are referring to the nerve. We are not just talking about tulang belakang. Kalau tulang belakang is the the skeleton, we are not going to talk that. We want to see the spine, the nerve. Okay, we are going to see the nerve. So now, if you take this spinal cord out, you have this back view. Yang nampak macam complicated sikit kan? So if you cut like this. Now, if I cut the spinal cord like this, then this is the top view. You will see something like this. So, do you see this? This is the spinal cord lah. In only this, something like a butterfly. Do you see? It is something like this. In the middle, this is the spinal cord. So, our body and also this one lah. The beside here, right? This is actually some nerve root. This is nerve. Okay, and this is spinal cord. So this is the one we mentioned. For this one and this one, we are going to study in other chapters. This is the tulang already. It's not the under the nervous system. It's more to like tulang. Okay. So this is the one I mentioned. From the tulang belakang, such a big thing. After you eliminate all the other things, you will have this, the spinal cord. So the spinal cord also is like the integration center, like it will process the information. Alright, so how it's going to form? Now, I want you to know how to label first. We start with the most easier and the most obvious one, which is you have a, we call as butterfly shape, correct? Do you see the butterfly here? Right, it looks like a butterfly. And this butterfly is actually in gray color, so we call as gray matter. Some of the book, they will use this gray, but I think better use this gray lah, okay? So, this is the gray matter. Then after the gray matter, you can see this butterfly is enclosed in a white circle. So this white circle is what we call as white matter. As simple as that. So we have gray, we have white. Okay? Then you can see the nerve root connecting. So this is like the wire I told you, right? The wire. This is the under peripheral nervous system already, the PNS. But no, you don't confuse yourself first. Because if central nervous system, there is only brain and spinal cord, correct? So all the nerve connecting here will not belong to CNS, it's just the spinal nerve. So here, spinal nerve, you have dorsal and ventral. Okay, here comes again two different, like very strange word to you. You just need to know. Dorsal root is the part where the nerve impulses go into. Kalau, sorry. Okay, dorsal root is nerve impulse masuk. Ventral nerve impulse keluar. Boleh? You ingat macam tu senang kan? So what will happen here is that nerve go into your spinal cord and then goes out from the ventral root. Boleh? It goes in through the dorsal root, goes out from the ventral roots. So this is the specific explanation you can read. Carry sensory. Okay, this one later we will explain lah. This one you still haven't really studied. Okay, once again, what is CNS? Central Nervous System. Okay. Now this is the function, very important. It also can process like your brain, correct? So that's why it's under the central nervous system, because it processes a few types of sensory information and send response to the motor neurons. Okay, these motor neurons you haven't studied, we are going to study later. So you are going to see you remember this first. And then control reflex action. You also haven't studied what is reflex action, but we are going to see. Connect the brain with the perinervous system. Okay, I told you already, you have your brain here. This is your spinal cord, correct? This is your brain. This is your spinal cord. So, just now, inside the spinal cord, you can see a butterfly. I told you, right? This is gray color. And then there is a lot of this nerve dorsal root. Right? So, I told you already, only the spinal cord is central nervous system. This nerve root, they are belong to peripheral nervous system. This is peripheral nervous system. Understand? So how it's going to connect? Do you see? It connects the brain down, then it connects with a lot of peripheral nervous system. Understand? So this is the example in the textbook. Can you read by your own? But I want to mention cell body you haven't studied, sensory neuron you haven't studied. So you might confuse here. Don't read lah if you cannot really get the meaning because you haven't studied. After after that we will study, then we will revisit this spinal cord. Okay. So now the dorsal root contains the Dorsal root is the one that I told you, tempat dia masuk. Ventral is the tempat dia keluar. Mesti ingat dorsal is the one that nerve impulse go into your spinal cord. Ventral root is the one that keluar. Boleh? And then you have the spinal nerve. Okay, this one it tells you got what kind of neuron. Later we're going to see what is neuron. Okay, just now we have studied about central nervous system, correct? Sekarang pula kita akan tengok apa itu peripheral nervous system. But I have actually told you also. CNS is brain and also spinal cord. So all the other things beside than these two, they are peripheral nervous system. Boleh? So peripheral nervous system is the cranial nerve and the spinal nerve. From the word you know, crania is about your brain. So the nerve beside your brain is the cranial nerve. The spinal comes from the word spine, or just now we have spinal cord, right? So you can see the similarity, spine. So spinal nerve is the nerve around the spinal cord. Just now I already told you, dia macam ada satu tulang kan, tulang belakang tu dia ada spinal cord. So after that there will be a lot of nerve here. So this is the spinal nerve. Okay? Understand? So now, peripheral nervous system is going to divide it into autonomic and somatic. So autonomic means heart muscles, movement and gains. Means it is involuntary. I already told you right what is involuntary. Yang kamu tak ada conscious. Without conscious effort. We use the word without conscious effort. Apa maksud without conscious effort? You tak perasan pun you sedang buat benda itu. For example, breathing. For example, your heart is pumping, beating. Then another one will be the terbalik lah. Somatic nervous system is voluntary. Example is skeletal muscle. You move when you want to work. You know that where you want to work, correct? You tells your brain, or your brain tells you where to work. Okay, under this involuntary pula is going to divide further into parasympathetic and sympathetic. Parasympathetic is rest and digest. Sympathetic is active or alert. Sometimes the book will tell this is flight or fight. Okay, maksudnya when you are nervous, you will use this when you are nervous. When you will use parasympathetic when you are relaxed. What is the example of situation? For example, you are being chased by a dog. You are being, okay, I make it bigger. When you are being chased by a dog, you are going to enter sympathetic because you takut kan. You kena dikejar oleh seekor anjing. You takut kena bite. So your body will enter this sympathetic division. Okay, it become flight or fight. Flight or fight maksudnya is either you lari ataupun you bergaduh dengan anjing tersebut. Betul? So your body will be intense. You start to have the adrenaline that we will study later. But if you play game, you know, right? If you play PUBG, you know, the shooting game, you have adrenaline, right? Once you drink the adrenaline, you become very excited. This is the example of sympathetic division. But if you don't know what is adrenaline, for those who don't play the game, it's okay. We will learn it in chapter 13. Boleh? Okay. Then what is parasympathetic? Parasympathetic is relax. When you tak dikejar oleh anjing sudah. Sekarang sudah dikejar. Sudah dikejar oleh anjing. What will happen? Your body relax lah. Okay? This is the one I told you. Peripheral nervous system divided into somatic, which is voluntary, autonomic, involuntary. Then it's going to be further divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic. So sympathetic you have fight or flight. Okay? And parasympathetic is when you relax. Okay, sudah habis. So this is 12.2. You need to understand this is the basic. Okay, for peripheral nervous system you don't need to really pay attention, but you still need to understand. Okay? But you don't need to memorize like what are the examples, okay? But you need to know what are the, okay? So we will see you in part 3.